Well, that was a wild day at the racetrack. Whoa, I tell you, they were crashing right and left. Just practice, too. Mike Mullen from MikeMullen.net, leaving Darlington Raceway, getting ready for the Southern 500. Saturday night, we're going to have Jamie McMurray on the pole. Jeff Gordon outside. And I tell you, these double file restarts, this is the last track at which we're debuting the double file restarts, and the drivers are scared. Let me tell you, I was talking to Mark Martin. He said, I wish you hadn't brought that up. I don't even want to think about it. Double file restarts on a one groove racetrack at 200 miles an hour. Jimmy McMurray was over 180 miles an hour all the way around the track, meaning he's going more than 200 miles an hour into the corners. That's way too fast for a track that was designed to run around at 85 miles an hour back in the 50s. But that's what they're going to do. We'll see how that's going to work out on the starts and on the restarts. Double file restarts. I tell you, that might really be some heartburn for some of these guys. They're saying they can go too wide into the first turn, the old third turn, but coming off two, old turn 4, you remember old turn 4 at Darlington, that's going to be the trouble. That's going to be the trouble spot. That's where they're going to have to tighten things up and figure out how to come off. Denny Hamlin says, depends on who wants to be nice and who doesn't. I haven't seen too many of these guys playing nice lately. We'll have to see if they really want to play nice on some of these restarts and try to make it around to the finish. Remember, last year it was like 17 caution flags, took over 4 hours, and they were just crashing right and left. Well, they already got 6 or I think it was 7 cars went to backups this afternoon, including Kyle Busch. He scraped the wall, said just like cosmetic damage, but they decided after qualifying he was only 39th quickest. They better change and try something different for the 500. Same thing with Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2 laps into practice and he's on the wall, and they went to a backup 2. Said they weren't quite sure if they might have had some hidden damage or not, so they're going to play it safe. Clint Boyer in the wall. A lot of guys in the wall. Marcus Ambrose in the wall. One of the problems, and we talked to Matt Kenseth about this, is the new spoiler, the new flat blade spoiler. It's too wide. Basically, it's simply too wide because NASCAR was trying to keep the same aerodynamics from the winged spoiler with the new spoiler. They managed to do that, but does that mean they're going to be able to keep everything together when they go around the corners? Turns out that the spoiler is so wide that when they scrape the wall, and you're only running a few inches off the wall here, when they scrape the wall, the spoiler catches because it's hanging out over the edge of the fender. Catches the wall, throws the right front right back into the wall. That's what happened to a lot of guys today. If you were lucky, you just got a scrape. Darlington stripe. A lot of Darlington stripes today. If you were not lucky, you went to a backup. And I tell you, the way they were knocking them up today, it's going to be a hard day. A hard night's work Saturday night in the Southern 500. We talked to Kevin Harvick briefly, very briefly, about, say 25 seconds. Asked him how the day was going. Ain't going with a bloopy, bloopy, bloopity bloop. And then we asked him, well, how's that contract negotiations going? Because we heard last weekend he was had a possible shot at getting the Budweiser sponsorship to take over for Shell, which is leaving at the end of the season. Oh, that was the end of the conversation. He stormed off. Not in a good mood. Well, you'll have that at Darlington. It's a tough racetrack. Tough racetrack. And this looks like an unusually tough weekend. Hot, 90 degrees. Oh, blazing hot. Sunburn. Better get your SPF 30 out for this one. Fortunately, the 500 is going to be at night. A little cooler, not much. Goodyear's tires, they actually get faster as the race goes on. Amazing. We were talking with Stu Grant about that. Says the tires look really good. No wear. Lap 15 on Tony Stewart's car was faster than lap 1. What that means is you don't have to stop for tires. Except fuel up every 100 miles or so. Could make for some interesting strategy at the end of the race. the last couple of races, heck, most of the season, gets down to 15 or 20 laps to go. You think track position means an awful lot, and the whole field comes down to get fresh tires, because fresh tires have been meaning an awful lot. But this time, I think track position. One groove racetrack, double file restarts. Denny Hamlin was joking. He said, if we get one green, white, checkered, we're going to get all three. NASCAR put the 3 maximum rule in there at Daytona. 3 green, white checkers like we saw at Talladega. Could very well happen here. I figure the last man standing, oh, I don't know who that's going to be. I'm sort of banking on Jeff Gordon. He's a survivor, starting on the front row, should be ahead of some of the action. Kyle Busch, starting at the rear of the pack. I think he did that in 2:08 and 1. Got to go back and check. A lot of history here at Darlington to check on. I think they're going to make some more Saturday night. Mike Mullen from MikeMullen.net. Jamie McMurray. Jeff Gordon. Brian Vickers. 1, 2, 3 for Saturday night's classic Southern 500.